everybody heard, and very clearly too, when the justices made it clear that I remain the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. They emphasized the fact that I was elected on the 5th day of June 2023, and that there has not been any reason to say that I lost my seat because I was never impeached and I was never removed. That emphasis was made by the Court of Appeal today. The Court of Appeal went further to make it clear that there is nothing like any other House of Assembly apart from the House of Assembly under my speakership. That was made clear again today, just like we've always had in previous judgments. Again today, the Court of Appeal made it clear that the governor of Rivers State does not have a budget upon which he's governing the states, because the Court of Appeal upheld the judgment delivered by Justice Omotosho, wherein he declared that there is no budget for Rivers State for the fiscal year 2024.
All right, you heard Honorable Martins Amaewhule. Now, in all this, the people of Rivers State is at the center. Governor Fubara has been asked by the court to take certain decision and certain action, which the court avoided because of the position of things. So, you know, before now, there has been factions of leadership in the Rivers State House of Assembly. Well, tonight, there are those who have experienced similar things in the past, not only by the virtue of their election, but also by the virtue of their profession. And also there are those who have interest in what goes on in Rivers State. They may be looking from the sideline, but of course, they are big political players. Tonight, I have two of such of a kind on the program tonight. I have a lawyer and a former member of the House of Representatives, in fact, a former minority leader in the House of Representatives, Dr. Samson Osage. He joins us virtually from Benin City. Thank you so much for joining us, Honorable Osage. And also, joining us from Lagos State is the APC governorship candidate in the Rivers governorship election of 2023, Mr. Tonye Cole, is live for us tonight. Thank you so much, Mr. Cole, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sharon.
Now, I think before I come to you and get your insight into all of what is happening, let's get some legal perspective to this. And let's let the professional speak about it, not only because he has a parliamentary experience and knowledge about this kind of crisis. We've seen this happen several times in the past in several states of the Federation. And of course, some legal perspectives will also give us some benefit. Let me speak for a moment with Honorable Samson Osage. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight. Give us an understanding,
Please go ahead.
A very direct layman interpretation of what the Court of Appeal said today. What did the court say or mean by that position or decision today?
Thank you very much for having me on this program and to speak on the legal issues surrounding the Court of Appeal judgment today with respect to the position of the Rivers State House of Assembly, which invariably is the legislative arm of Rivers State government. And I just say that I haven't gone through the excerpts of that judgment. I think it's one judgment that we strengthen the institution of the legislature. Because in this country, the legislature has been trampled upon to weaken its ability to perform its constitutional duty. And speaking strictly on the law surrounding the issues about the governance in Rivers State with particular reference to the crises that have enveloped the Rivers State House of Assembly and of course the budget of Rivers State. Section 96 of the 1999 Constitution is very clear on what should be a quorum of a state legislature. And the quorum of a state legislature, according to the provisions of the Constitution, is 1/3 of its members. In other words, the Rivers State House of Assembly, which I think has about 32 members, can only sit and validly make law When I say make law, I mean make all laws, including the passing of an appropriation law. Before it can sit and transact legislative business, it should have at least 1/3 of the elected members of that house sitting and present and doing business on that day. And interestingly, Rivers State is not the only place where we have had legislators not having quorum and yet transact business. In fact, what we are seeing in Rivers State is a child's play. In Edo State, between 2019 and 2023, the legislative arm of Edo State government transacted legislative business for almost the whole term without a quorum of the House. Now, coming to Rivers State and coming to the judgment of the Court of Appeal, it is only in conformity with the provision of the law that the Court of Appeal has given judgment. It is impossible for 5 or 3 people in a 32-man assembly to transact legislative business, let alone pass an appropriation act for the entire state. In fact, this Rivers State can lead to more amendment to the Constitution. It is going to have consequential implication for the amendment to Section 96 of the Constitution, because by Constitution amendment alteration, 5th alteration of 2019, that section has been amended to include having at least a 1/3 present on the day of inauguration. And I think constitutional reforms must also include now that for the purpose of the passage budget, any budget passed by membership of the House that is less than 1/3 is unconstitutional. And I think what the Court of Appeal has done is to provide a platform for that constitutional amendment. So, in other words, the court has stated what the law is. It has merely repeated what the Constitution has said and given flesh to its provision and giving teeth for it.
So,
it is impossible for a house that is not
so let me jump in quickly.
Let
me jump in quickly. The position of the law is very simple and clear as to what forms a quorum in the House and what constitutes the legal status of a member of the House of Assembly. Now, the question is the import of the Abegunde versus Ondo State House of Assembly and that Supreme Court position on the defection of the lawmaker is one of the major issues surrounding the defection of the members of the House of Assembly in Rivers State when they moved from the PDP to the APC, and whether or not in the moment when they moved or defected, whether they still have or they still are members of the House of Assembly, because there are questions as to can you transfer your vote, the seat, whether or not it belongs to your party. And as the Supreme Court has established in the Abegunde versus Ondo State House of Assembly, that was the point where those who believe that as at the point where they defected, they have automatically lost their seat and their status in being members of the House of Assembly, and as such, Edison here and 4 others remain the statutory or the only members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Does the law see it in that perspective, Honorable?
Yes, I think Abegunde versus Ondo State House of Assembly remains one of the locus classicus for the law on defection or cross-carpeting in recent times and within the Nigerian political system. But the Rivers State example presents a critical angle to this whole conundrum of cross-carpeting. Let's assuming but not assuming that the 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly actually defected and are supposed to have lost their seat. The question is that can the remaining 4 or 5, as the case may be, constitute the Rivers State House of Assembly? The answer is no. So this matter is not dependent on whether the 27 members have lost their seat. By the provision of Section 96, subsection 2, it is said that if there is no quorum, then the Speaker shall adjourn the House. What ought to have happened in the case of Rivers State is 27 members haven't defected and they are considered to have lost their seat. Of course, the court has not said so. What ought to have been done in proper situation is to call for a re-election to fill those vacant posts before Rivers State can continue to enjoy the services of the legislature. So it is not for the 24 or 5 to carry on with the business of the legislature. So if they have lost their seat, as people have opined, the appeal against that defection was not upheld by the Court of Appeal, depending on what was put before it. But assuming that they have lost their seat in accordance with the provision of Section 68G, then the implication will not be that the remaining 4 now constitute Rivers State House of Assembly. They cannot validly transact legislative business because of the number they have. So that is not a solution to the conundrum that will be created by their defection.
Now, the other side of it now is what options are available to Governor Fubara? Does he have the opportunity to appeal the appeal court's judgment today?
Well, Oliver Wendell Holmes is one of American realists, said that the law is what the court says it is and nothing more pretentious. Now, the court has stated the position clearly and has said that the budget of 2024 in Rivers State is invalid and unconstitutional. The option left for the governor today is to represent the budget of that state before the legally recognized assembly as it is today. That is the law. I'm not talking about the politics. He has option of appealing the judgment, but it has to obey the order of court. What if the Supreme Court now affirmed this decision? Will he run to heaven? So I think the proper thing for him to do is obey the court, and then you can pursue your appeal. Otherwise, he is running the risk of running a state and expending public expenditures without legislative approval, beyond, for instance, the constitutionally accepted limit of 6 months when the budget would not have been passed.
But Honorable, the question here is that there are other, when you want to appeal this kind of matter, you can ask the court for a relief, or of course, for you to be able to seek redress in court upon a judgment in which you does not favor you. So it could also have ask for a stay, isn't it, and go for an appeal pending the determination at the Supreme Court. That option is available to him, isn't it? Because what if, like you said,
yeah, he has the option to ask for
the Supreme Court now rules in his favor, what happens?
He has the option of asking for a stay of execution. But what is there to stay? Because these are declaratory judgments. Now, if he asks for a stay and it is not granted, where does that leave him? So sometimes I do not think that he has anything to lose if he represents the budget and even the Supreme Court rules in his favor. It means that, he has a validly approved document of the budget of the people of Rivers State. So he has nothing to lose if he represents the budget and follow the law. But he has a lot to lose if he continues to implement a budget that is not validly passed by the state legislature. It becomes a constitutional issue and it can lead to other unpleasant consequences, given the trajectory of the political situation in Rivers State as we speak today.
But Honorable, you've played politics. You are also a lawyer. So you know that there is a delicate balance in this matter of law and politics. And you know that this was largely a political matter before it went as a dispute before the court. Now, you know just how dangerous or how difficult what you've said is for a sitting governor who feels that, politically speaking, his position is being threatened by his opposition in the state. How does he handle politically what you've been saying so it doesn't look like a weak governor, politically speaking?
Well, you talk about striking a delicate balance between law and politics. Politics rests on law, because politics must be played within the confines of law. If you play politics outside of law, then you are engaging in authoritarianism, in tyranny, and of course, arbitrariness. So The law must be the basis upon which politics is played, and I think that is not debatable. So for Governor Fubara, he needs to swallow his pride so as not to be looked at as a weak governor and obey the law, because obeying the law is in his best interest, in his self-enlightened interest in the long run. Because he is in a conundrum right now. He can't continue to govern a state, without legally approved budgets. Because the law does not favor the way the state is being administered without a legally approved budget. So let him go, swallow his pride, negotiate with the legislators, and then let them resume legislative duties. And then he has all it takes. He's the governor of the state to call his people and say, look, this quarrel is not has nothing to do with Rivers people. We are elected to govern Rivers people. Let bygone be bygone. Let's start on a new slate. And they continue. They are legislators. They are citizens of Rivers State. So the only way for his survival is for him to obey the law and then begin to get along with the legislator, regardless of the waters that have gone under the bridge. Because if he doesn't do that, then these validly recognized legislators under the law will go ahead and impeach him for running a state without a validly approved and enacted budget of the state. And then the law will not be in his favor in that instance.
So, but also, what's the implication of all of the activities of the 5 members of the House of Assembly, everything they have done in the eye of the law? Are they also voided?
The court made it clear. Yes, the court made it clear. And of course, the Constitution has said so. If you do not form a quorum of a legislative business, you cannot transact any business. Any business they have transacted in the name of Rivers State House of Assembly is null and void and unconstitutional and have no legal effect whatsoever. That is the position of the law, and it's clear.
Honorable, before I allow you to go, this is a very, very tricky one. Yes, rarely do we see governors being impeached, but how do you then run a state when you know that you are in a very difficult political, treading around a political landmine, and you are running a state with majority opposition lawmakers? How do you cope? How do you want to run a state in that manner? Well, I mean, politically speaking, it looks like a suicide, isn't it?
As we speak today, this is political now. Rivers State has an array of statesmen who have been governors, deputy governors, ministers, ambassadors. I do not think the elders of Rivers State should sit back and allow this drift to continue. And I believe that as governor, he has a responsibility to mobilize the leaders and elders of Rivers State to be able to get his government underway and run smoothly. And I also believe that his opponents, or those with whom he is having his loggerheads, are also from Rivers State who have respect for the elders of Rivers State. I remember my friend Tony advocated and named some persons who could solve the problem of Rivers State. So I believe that those routes are still very much available. The road to peace can be very thorny, but it is better achieved by passing it than pretending and being on a high horse, because of ego. So I believe that there are people in Rivers State capable of solving Rivers' problem. And this has nothing to do with Mr. President now, because as a Democrat, there's a limit to which he can even interfere, except to the extent that life and property should be secured in state. So we know that the crisis is precipitated by political differences, between him and his predecessor.
All right.
But the Rivers elders can settle this matter by bringing them to the negotiating table, including these members of the State Assembly, so that we can have a smooth governance in Rivers State. After all, power is transient. They will all leave their seats one way or the other, and at some point. So why should they continue to overheat the local polity in Rivers State?
Honorable Dr. Samson Osagie, thank you so much for talking to us tonight. A very senior lawyer and the former minority leader of the House of Representatives, a mixture of experience.
Minority whip,
minority whips,
not
apologies.
minority leader.
Minority whip, apologies. A mixture of experience, parliamentary experience, and legal knowledge. Thank you so much for giving us a mixture of all
Thank you, Sean, for having me.
Thank you so much indeed.